Left a good job in the city, working on a project every night and day. Hey, it's AP, and today I'm going to make a new workbench. Check it out. My workshop is a FEMA certified disaster area. Seriously, it's the stuff that keeps Marie Kondo up at night. Now, a wise man once told me that without chaos, there is no creativity. And I clearly took that very literally. I have no space to work on new projects because my current workbenches are used not only for, well, working on stuff, but also as storage and drop-off spaces, 3D printing stands, and well, the list goes on. So to get some of my space back, I'm going to build a 6-foot by 28-inch counter height workbench to house my 3D printing equipment so I can at least get some space back on my build table. Now, I'll also add a storage shelf to get stuff off the floor and into a proper home. This will be a pretty Route 1 project using 2x4s, pocket hole screws, and glue. So let's head on over to the miter saw and start cutting down some sticks. The base will be made by constructing 2 platforms, one for the shelf and one to provide support for the top. Since I want to have a 2-inch lip on all sides, I'm going to build the platform 68 inches by 24 inches. Then the tabletop itself will be 72 inches by 28 inches to get that lip. See, I can math. I cut down the ends of the platform and then moved on to the long edges. These are actually cut to 65 inches to account for the ends, which are 1.5 inches each. A 2x4 is actually 1.5 by 3.5. The lies, the filthy lies. So to join these all together, I'm going to use pocket hole screws. I'm using pocket hole screws for a couple reasons. One, they're really strong. They actually have a decent load weight rating. I think it's like 400 to 700 pounds or something like that. Not that I'm going to ever put that much weight onto this workbench, but it's good to know that I have that flexibility. If I ever wanted to have a party with a weight capacity of 400 to 700 pounds on the workbench. Using pocket holes is very easy. I have a whole tutorial on how to set up a Craig pocket hole jig. It's super simple. Check out that video somewhere, and you will learn all about the magic of pocket holes. But let's crack that open and start drilling some holes. One down, one to go. And while I start working on that other one, please make sure you check out my sponsor, who is nobody. Yeah, so if you want to sponsor the channel, that'd be great. And then I could just do this all day. All right, thanks for watching. The last thing I need to do before we start working on the tabletop, which is going to be a lot more involved than these platforms, are the legs. So I went up to my kitchen and I measured the height of my countertop up there because I feel like that's a comfortable height for me to be standing and working at. That came to 36 inches. So a nice good 3 foot tall, let's see, I'm 6'2", 3 feet down around here. Gives me space to work. I feel good about that. So this is going to be super easy. I just need to cut 4 legs and start attaching them to these platforms, and then we'll move on to the what I fear is going to be a little bit complicated, but maybe not, the top of the counter. So let's go back down here and cut the wood because I still don't have my counter. It's just, okay, don't worry about it. I originally cut some 8-inch pieces of 2x4 to simply act as spacers, but ended up using them to provide extra support for the bottom shelf. All right, everything's screwed together, and yes, it's still standing. Win. Whew! it is hot down here. Okay, so there's 3 things left to do. I need to make the countertop, which I'm going to do with 2x4s. I'm just going to sandwich them all together and make a nice top. And there'll be about 2 inches overhang on each side, which is great. And I can like clip on lights and other things. Then we'll sand the whole thing down, put a coat of linseed oil or some protective wax or oil on here, and then I can move this into its final spot, which I think is going to be over in this corner somewhere, and call this project done. I've also ordered some feet to level it since I have a very uneven floor, as well as some drop-down casters so I can make this very easy to move. Oh, and I guess I also have to put a top on here, huh? Yeah, we'll do that. That'll be the very last thing we do. All right, I think I'm going to call it a day today because I am pooped and I have to go back to my day job. So we will continue this adventure tomorrow. To get a clean end, I chopped about 1 inch off of each stick, then cut them all down to 72 inches. Using pocket hole screws and glue, I laminated them all together. In hindsight, I probably could have used one or the other. Both is a bit overkill. But that's what we do here day in and day out. Overkill. We'll let this sit overnight to cure. So a fun little thing I have to deal with is the top has kind of bowed a little bit. You know, because I'm working with crappy 2x4s and all that good stuff. So I'm hoping once I get it onto the actual base that it'll kind of straighten itself out with some force as I push it down and screw it in. We'll see how that goes. But I also need to do a lot of sanding to get this nice and smooth and even. Again, because these were 2x4s and not the best 2x4s in the world. I mean, I just got them off the rack at my local home center. There was some kind of natural warping to them. So I'm just going to have to sand the heck out of this to get them to be somewhat flat and even. So let's get sanding. Using a straight edge and circular saw, I just evened up the ends. I started with 60 grit on the belt sander to flatten the edges a bit, then went to 120 grit and then finished with 220. To further help getting this to lay flat, I just grabbed some scrap 2x4 to pull the top down. It kinda worked. To attach the top, I'm using pocket holes again. A final sand and wipe down, and we're good to move this into position. Oh, and I added a power strip to the back, because who doesn't like a good power strip? With the exception of getting a piece of 1/2-inch plywood for the bottom shelf that actually fits, this project is done. Another thing, I'm not 100% happy with the top. It's hard to get super straight 2x4s. Plus, working on a wonky and uneven floor doesn't make life easy either. So in hindsight, maybe I could have scoured Facebook Marketplace for a 6-foot length of butcher block countertop or something, but I didn't. It would look great. And depending on the price, it may actually be more cost effective than spending time gluing and screwing and sanding the hell out of these boards to get them somewhat even. Anyway, the most important thing is that my 3D printing equipment now has a home. One project that I do need to do now is build an enclosure for my FDM printer because it can get a little dusty down here. I mean, it is an unfinished basement, cut me some slack. But with all this newfound space, I can now take my other work tables back and I can start up some new projects. I can do some more props and some new models and some new woodworking. It's gonna be a project extravaganza around here. So did this video inspire you to make a similar simple workbench? If you do, let me know in the comments below. And if you have suggestions on how I can make this even better, Also let me know in the comments below. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that like button and that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a thing, and it does help the channel grow, and I do appreciate it. Are you looking for a fun project to build? Well, check out this awesome Montessori-style bookcase I made for my kids. It's an easy build, and I even have some basic free plans that you can work off of. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.